Everything was just perfect, except I forgot to turn the flap up on the camera. Hello, everyone. My name's Jerry Rosa. I'm here in my man cave. I have been busier than a cat covering up you-know-what on a marble table since yesterday, since we spoke. I haven't hardly had a moment to breathe. Catching my breath right now. Well, the fiddle auction is going on, and so far I think it's going okay. They're not setting any record prices, but there's a little bidding war getting going there on one of them anyway. The other ones had at least one bid also. So if you haven't checked out the fiddles, they're real nice, handmade fiddles. They're on my website, www.rosastringworks.com, and then you go on the shopping page, and they're down at the bottom. There's 2 different fiddles that are up for auction. So check those out if you would, please. Sue's headed into town as we speak. She is going in for therapy on her hips. She goes once or twice a week to this therapy. It sounds like it's pretty bad, actually, the condition of her hips. I don't know if therapy is going to do it, but she's trying anyway. And while she's going in there, she took, for me, she took some boxes to ship for Cometa Systems. And these are going to Texas A&M. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I also, since we spoke, I went down and worked on the mini skid steer forks. If you recall, I had showed a video where those forks had come in and that I had bolted them onto the bucket. And they worked. I picked up a log and set it on the sawmill. But, I don't know, they're kind of hokey, and you have to, put them on, take them off, that kind of thing. Where the quick attach is so much easier to just attach it and have it be a separate set of forks. So I decided to make a separate set of forks for it out of the materials that I had purchased. And here's the video on that. Well, my friends, I wasn't real impressed with the way these forks work on the bucket. I mean, they work. I used it. I picked up a log, put it on the sawmill. But I thought it'll be a whole lot better if I can just have these forks closer to the body, because they, that makes them stick out another 1.5 feet or so from the body. And anything you can get closer gives you a lot more leverage. All I have to do now is saw this off right here and, saw this off basically. I'll just weld this all up solid. I've tested with pallets. It seems to fit pallets just perfectly. And it'll be great for logs. And then what I'm planning to do is put a grapple on top here to grapple down and grab a hold of logs. At least that's my plan. I don't know if that's going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot. I really like how that's working so far. And we will see what we will see when we see it. Just thought I'd show you that I can pick up more than one. Well, I made my forks. I used the little Temu welder and welded them all up, and they work just fine. These are just sitting in the bucket. They're not attached to the bucket or anything, as you can see there. So it has a quick attach on it, so you can attach it directly onto the machine. I picked up a couple of big logs with it. In fact, I picked up 2 at one time, and it was fine. So it's going to work just fine. The problem I'm having, you see how this cylinder is extended down? Well, when I parked this, that was retracted. So you can see it just slowly leaks down. And it's not leaking fluid. In fact, see, you can see it's perfectly dry. It's not leaking fluid. It's not leaking fluid anywhere else. So I don't think it's that cylinder, unless the cylinder is just bypassing internally. I hate to take that whole cylinder apart to only find out there's no problem. What I suspect the problem is, when you trace these lines back, and they go in here, My suspicion is that these lines coming up to here, see this, when you push this way, that's supposed to tilt the bucket up. But I can tell you, after you've been using this for a little while and the bucket tilts itself down, when you push this first, when you push it to the left, the bucket will go further down, which is really weird. And then, if you keep pushing it, the bucket will come back up. So the tilt I'm talking about, you know, the tilt like this. The tilt just slowly goes down like that as you're working, and then you try to tilt it back up. Well, it'll go down first, and then it'll come back up. So if anybody has an idea what that is or what's causing that, I don't claim to be a hydraulics expert. I know enough to be dangerous. I've made hydraulic brush hog and made other things with hydraulics, my grapple bucket and my dump bed on my trailer. So I've done things with hydraulics. I'm no complete dummy, but I'm not an expert either. I suspect it's in this. That's what I suspect it is, but I don't know that for sure. So if anybody has an idea, or maybe some kind of valves that would replace these things that would work for this application, you know, if you're an expert in that field, I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, really, I don't want to say that that thing is almost useless right now, but it's not real good right now, I can tell you that, because it just constantly just drops down, just constantly drops down. It doesn't have, I mean, like you can lift it all the way up, and if you lift it to the full tilt, it'll hold it, I don't know, it'll hold it maybe 30 seconds, but within that 30 seconds it starts to drop, and it drops pretty fast. And like I said, the weird thing about it is when you push the lever to make it go up, it actually goes down more first, and then it comes up. So, I don't know. I can't figure out why that would do that. And that, to me, seems like it's in those controls, in the control levers myself. So if anybody is an expert, feel free to send me an email or put it here in the chat, what you suspect the problem might be, and I'll look into that. Some people have already made some suggestions about the relief valve, and that could be it still, pressure relief valve. I haven't got into the details yet. I haven't tore anything apart yet or looked into those kinds of things. The other idea was somebody suggested maybe put a check valve in there where it can only go one way, but after I got to thinking about that idea, while I think that would actually work, sort of, it won't really work because you have to have the hydraulics flow in both directions. It has to go both directions. So I don't think a check valve is practical in this particular application, unless I don't fully understand the concept of the check valve. But the way I do understand it, it's just like a check valve in your well. You only want the water coming up, like you never want to let it go back down, so the check valve stops it from going back down. And that's kind of the way a check valve would be in the hydraulics. But in this case, hydraulics, I do need it to go both ways. So I don't think the check valve is the right answer. Anyway, that's my dilemma, because I really do want to fix that, because I really think this thing is going to be as handy as a shirt on a pocket just to use around here, if I can get that problem fixed. And I think it's an inherent problem. I don't think like something's gone wrong with the machine. I have a feeling that almost all of these machines do that. That's just my opinion. I just think it's the design of it and the cheap parts they use. But I could be wrong. It could be that this is a unique problem to just this machine. I don't know. This afternoon, I am planning to do a plastic welding session with the Temu welder that I got yesterday, the plastic welder, and weld up the floorboard in my Polaris Ranger. I was driving along one day, and I heard kabam, and I felt the floor just hit hard. Boy, I mean, it jerked in fact, it threw my feet up in the air. What happened was some stick or something had jammed up under there when I drove over it, and it lifted the whole Ranger up off the ground, and it busted the floorboard. Well, it's busted about a foot long or something like that, and the plastic's fairly thick. It's not quite a 1/4 inch thick, but it's pretty thick. So I'm going to use that Temu plastic welder and try to, put those metal stitches across there and then smear it over with plastic and try to fix it. Just something to do, and I think it'll work. Just FYI, you saw the forks there in that video. I did completely weld those forks up with the Temu welder. And that little welder, I swear to you, and I am not saying this for effect, it is smaller than the lunchbox I used to carry to grade school when I was a little kid. It is the tiniest little thing I've ever seen. It's only about that big, the whole welder. It's just amazing. And yet it welds. Now, is it as good as those other two welders I've received? Well, definitely the Art Captain is the #1 welder. That's the best one, but it costs more. That MacPow welder is a real good welder, but it only does stick. It's a real good welder. I like it. In fact, I like it a lot. And then now this Temu welder is the cheapest one of all, and it's only stick. It works. I mean, it goes up to 250, whatever that means. Now, you might say amps. Well, I don't think it's amps because I had to turn it all the way up to 215 to get it to weld what I wanted to weld. I still had some headroom there. I still could go up to the 250. So I think I could weld up to 3/8 inch steel with this little Temu welder. Without any problem. So if money's really tight for you and you really would like to have a welder, the Temu welder I think works. I think it works okay because it's super cheap. And it did what I wanted it to do. I welded up those forks, and then you saw me pick up those 2 giant logs. Well, they're not giant, but big cedar logs, And I would say that was every bit of 300 pounds, if not more than that. Those logs are heavy. They're a lot heavier than they look. So anyway, just letting you know that the Temu welder actually does work, and I used the Temu helmet also that I showed yesterday, and it worked fine too. In fact, it's real clear, worked real good. So again, for under $100, I think it is, you can get that welder and the helmet. That's pretty much all you need except for some welding rods. So there you go. And then let's see. So I'm planning to do that plastic welding this afternoon. And then I'm also, if I get that done fairly quickly, and I think I will, then I'm going to saw some logs for those stairs on the water wheel house to get that going. And that's as much as I know of right now. I'm still just trying to keep my head above water. That's really all I'm doing because I'm just treading water as fast as I can. David Tharp was our first one in today. He says, hello, everybody. Missed yesterday. Had to go to work. Well, ain't that a terrible thing? We don't allow 4-letter words here on this broadcast. So, work like that, you shouldn't say that word on here. Let's see. Let's see. Tom Armstrong says, hi, Jerry. Do you use any discrimination when metal detecting, or do you dig everything? Well, Tom, I do it both ways. I typically do use discrimination because here there's so much iron in the ground. And I know people think, oh, he's got to be exaggerating. I'm seriously telling you, especially in the areas where you know that people used to live, in these areas on this farm, you can't move the detector 3 inches without hitting something. So it's that bad. It really is that bad. So, you just be digging nails and wire and staples all day long. So I do discriminate when I'm in those kinds of areas. Now, if I get out into the big fields, I may dig everything out there, or at least it's not so much that I dig everything. I at least let everything make a noise, and then I use my own brain for my discrimination on whether I think it's something I want to dig or not. I could be passing up stuff. There's no doubt about it, but you can't dig everything here. Trust me. You wouldn't even get out of 100-foot square circle. I mean, you wouldn't. There's that much stuff to dig. I'm not lying. It'd take you the rest of your life just to dig 100 square foot to dig everything in that 100 square feet. It'd take you the rest of your life. I'm seriously telling you, you wouldn't believe it, but it's that way. It truly is. You would think, how could they have that much stuff in the ground? And I don't know, but there's that much stuff in the ground. It's crazy. Bill Rhodes, good afternoon. To Rosa Rebels. There you go. And let's see, Bruce Hines says, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Hope all are well. Still no power here in the state of South Carolina. Man, I feel for you. Golly, I can't even imagine the devastation you guys have gone through. I've been watching some of my favorite channels, guys with helicopters and things, and they've been volunteering and wow. And Cletus McFarland is one of them. He and his wife took their helicopter and delivered stuff into places, like water and stuff like that. It's amazing. And Cletus's, I thought his was the most unique because he had just got the helicopter. I mean, it was an abandoned helicopter down in South America somewhere. He brought it up here, spent gazillions of dollars on it to have it completely restored and rebuilt, and just pretty much knew everything. And pretty much his first use of it was delivering water and hauling people out of the mud and all that. So his helicopter got trashed the first thing, his first use. I mean, it was just, it was dirty, man. I'm seriously telling you, it was dirty. And so he had it. Of course, he's made so much money on social media, it doesn't matter. He paid a detailer to come in and clean it up, and it looks like brand new again. But anyway, I just thought that was pretty interesting that he did that, at least. And he just, you don't know how it really goes on video. All you see is what you see. But he did seem to have his head in the right place, and he wasn't out there to just make a YouTube video. He was really doing the job, it looked like to me. But that's the way it looked anyway. David Tharp, a wise man once said, bees never waste their time trying to explain to flies why flowers taste better than cow chips. Let's see. Wavy Gravy, I recently took a poll and found that 100% of the people in the tent were angry when it collapsed. There you go. That's funny. David Tharp, I keep missing the 6 o'clock news because I can't remember what time it comes on. That sounds like something I would say. Bill Mumbo, no rest for the wicked, they say, Jerry. I wouldn't know being perfect. Ronald Todd, what's a computer's first sign of aging? Loss of memory. Yeah. Wavy Gravy. Yesterday, I went to the doctor with a suspicious-looking mole. The doctor says they all look that way. Why didn't you just leave it in the garden? I knew it was coming. Ronald Todd says, loss of pressure. Well, yeah, that part of it is fairly obvious, but I don't know where the pressure loss is coming in. That's the problem. Bill Webb, good afternoon. And let's see, Wavy Gravy. Hey, Ron, to err is human, but to really screw up, you need a computer. That is a true statement right there. Rod Wintler, I am getting old, or did you not show us the Temu Welder? Well, I thought I showed it to you yesterday, didn't I? Or did I not? I showed you the helmet. Oh, you know what? Now I think about it, I meant to show you that today. The welder came in after the vlog yesterday. I forgot that. So I should have showed it to you today is what I should have done. But I've already used it. I did my opening video for it, and I went ahead and used it. And I'll try to remember to show it to you tomorrow because it is the littlest welder you've ever seen. It looks like a joke. I mean, it absolutely looks like a toy, like a joke. Or it looks like a little model of a welder that you would set up on a shelf and you'd go, oh, isn't that cute? That's what it looks like. It's like this big. I'm not kidding. It's literally it's smaller than a loaf of bread. I mean, it's really small. It's just unbelievably small. I'm glad you said that though, because I was thinking, I can't keep it all straight in my head. I got so much going on. I got more going on than Carter's got liver pills. Yeah, no, you were right, Rod. I'm glad you said that. Michael Wagner, do you have air in the system causing bleeding off? Well, I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility. I wonder how it would get air in there and how I would get rid of it. I guess that's a possibility. I don't think that's it. I mean, I think it's a possibility. I don't think that's it. And again, this is me working through what could cause what. I think the biggest clue I've got is that when I've never seen this reaction before. Now, keep in mind, I've used a lot of hydraulic stuff. I've seen lots of cylinders bleed off. That's common as heck. Lots of them bleed off. What's different about this one is that it bleeds off. Generally, when you hit the thing to bring it back up, it just comes right back up. This doesn't do that. When you hit it to come up, it goes down further, then it comes up. I've never seen that. So that's what's making me wonder what's going on. I think it's something to do with these valves or something like that. That's, again, it's just me thinking. I don't know that you may be more correct than I am. I just don't know. Let's see. Rod Wentler, I thought the Temu device you showed us was the plastic welding gun. Yeah, I showed that too yesterday. But yeah, see, when I showed you that stuff from Temu yesterday, I was thinking that was all there is. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, seemed like there was something else. And sure enough, yesterday afternoon, the welder came in. And I thought, well, that's the perfect thing to use to weld up my forks. That way I kill two birds with one stone. I'm getting the job done and I'm showing off the product. So yeah, it did come in yesterday afternoon. It came in. I forgot. I meant to show you that today. I even told myself yesterday when it came in that I was going to show it to you today, but I forgot. So anyway, I'll try to remember to show you it tomorrow because it is the littlest welder I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like this. I thought the little McPowell welder was really small. It's like this. It's tiny. It's about the size of a loaf of bread. This thing is way littler than that. It's like this. It's unbelievable. Blackjack guitar. Maybe the lines are reversed or O-rings in the valve assembly. Yeah, I don't think that could be it. O-ring's a possibility, I think. I don't think the lines could be reversed. Dan Robinson, maybe a damaged pump, a crack. Yeah, so now you're on my kind of thinking there. I'm thinking it's something like that. It's either in these controls themselves, it could be in the pump itself. It could still be in the cylinder, I guess. But generally, cylinders don't go down when you're telling them to come up. Like I said, it only drops. It loses more pressure for a second is what happens. You can just tell it's just lost some more pressure, and then it comes up. That's generally not the function of the cylinder itself. The cylinder wouldn't do that. As soon as you start telling it to come up with the valve, it should start coming up. And that's why I'm thinking it's a valve problem. I think the valve is doing something stupid, or the valve is leaking, or something like that. Or it could be the motor itself, the hydraulic motor, the pump. Blackjack says hydraulic line sucking air. I don't think that's the case. If they were sucking air, you'd have leaks because, trust me, hydraulic fluid is under tremendous pressure. If there's a leak, if there's anything getting to air, you're going to have fluid coming out. So I don't think that's the case. Now, it could be leaking internally, like I said, inside that cylinder. That's a possibility, but I don't think that's it. Pressure drops suggests air in the system to me. Yeah, maybe. I don't think so, though. I really don't. It's kind of like the thing with the lawn tractor. I knew all along it had to be fuel, and sure enough, it turned out to be fuel. I was just too stupid to find it. It was the problem. That's kind of the way this is. I'm pretty sure this is just something. I mean, don't get me wrong. Leaking, you can interchange these words. It's something bypassing something inside this system, and it's either bypassing inside the cylinder, or it's bypassing inside the valve, or it's bypassing inside the pump itself, the motor. It's got to be one of those. There's no physical leaking anywhere else, so therefore no air's getting in and no air's getting out and no fluids getting out. It's an internal something problem. That much I'm 99.9% sure. I always leave a little tiniest little bit because I'm no expert in this. I just know a lot about it. O-rings, yeah, I guess it is possible because it could, if it's leaking internally, it could be a bad O-ring internally. But these are basically just guesses. What I'm looking for is the expert in the field. There's an expert out there that will go, well, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be this, and that's what I'm looking for. Because guesses, I got all kinds of guesses. I mean, I pretty much kind of know what the problem is. I just don't know where it's at. That's the problem. So the controls, yeah, that's where I suspect it is in those cheap controls. Those controls are cheap. They really are. A second ago, I was going to tell you something else, and now I forgot what that something else was. Doggone it. It was something I wanted to tell you, and somebody made me think of it, but now I've forgotten it. Oh, Ron says, is the Temu a wire feed or stick? It's just a stick. The Temu stick welder, I think it was around the $60 range too. I can't remember. Might have been 70. I can't remember. Let's see. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it, guys. I just would like to get that little problem fixed because I do know that this thing could be very handy, very useful, but it's really aggravating the way it's working right now because it doesn't have the strength to keep it up there. It wants to just keep falling down, and all the old guys know all about that, so I'm not going there. Anyway, that's it. We will see you tomorrow with something else. Thanks a lot, guys. Somebody said lessons right at the end there. Yes, glad you said that because I am going to try to do the lesson this evening. My wife's vowed to remind me, so I know I'm going to go out there and get busy. That's my problem, but she's supposed to remind me this evening, and I'm supposed to remember this evening, so I'm planning to have a lesson at 7 o'clock. Sorry about that. We'll see you then.